Welcome to the Jennifer J. Hammond Podcast. Jennifer is a licensed realtor, educator, speaker, and best-selling author. Jennifer's goal is to help you find your yay in every day. Jennifer is grateful for the opportunity to educate, empower, and inspire you with powerful conversations, insights, and new viewpoints. Here's your host, Jennifer J. Hammond.
This is Jennifer Hammond, and I'm so excited. As you know, I always love finding amazing women who are trailblazers, who are out there in the world, changing the world in one way or another. So my next author and woman trailblazing out there is Julie Willis. And you know what? I feel like I want to hide the rest of her information and we'll just let it reveal. You'll understand what I mean later. So Julie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jennifer. I'm so happy to be here right now.
I love it. Well, I'm super excited. You have a book called Conceal Reveal, which is really interesting because I love even the cover of your book, where you've got all these blacked out pages and, words. And so there's so many things that are hidden from us. And then, of course, there's so many secrets and we're like, what is that? What does that mean? What is that? So I'm curious, number one, what is this book about?
Oh, well, the book is my journey at the beginning of 2020 with, of course, some flashbacks so that things make sense. But it was January 1st, 2020 that I started my company, Defiant Communication. And I thought, as we all did going into 2020, that it would be one thing. And of course, it becomes another, but that's part of the book. And the thing I thought it would be was I really wanted, and I still do, and luckily I'm able to, help defense entrepreneurs reach the end user of their technology and product, which is the warfighter. So it has been an unbelievable journey. The high highs and the low lows that 2020 brought all of us, but finding my way through it. And it's the journey of inside and behind the scenes in the defense industry as an entrepreneur.
And that's something that I know there's so many veterans who get out of the military and they are so interested in being innovative and creating solutions for things that they faced while they were in, military service, no matter what branch they're in. I've talked to everyone from Navy SEALs to all sorts of, wives of military to just tons of different innovators who are looking for a way to solve issues that unfortunately, I would say most government agencies, they just have a bit of a, what is a good word? What is a good adjective for the slow moving response to when there's a problem? And as you know, it's like quicksand, boom, they go down. So I think that one of the things that entrepreneurs learn is that they learn to love the problem and because they're creating the solution. But now getting that solution, now they've created the solution, but getting the solution, as you just mentioned, to the end user sometimes feels like you're walking through mud, maybe mud and quicksand. Would you agree?
It's a very treacherous journey, for sure. And, no one knows those problems better than veterans themselves because they've worn the problem or they've closed the door and been on the inside of the problem. And it's as equally frustrating, I believe, for them from my experience listening is getting through the bureaucracy that, was happening behind the scenes for them. And now, as a defense entrepreneur, they come out and there's so many resources, thankfully, for veterans to become entrepreneurs and to re-engage in that community. But darned if it isn't hard to go from the inside to the outside and try to get back inside. For sure.
Which just seems like such a strange thing. But so would you maybe share a journey? I don't know, maybe if you have a specific entrepreneur or a specific product or a specific problem that you were trying to solve and share kind of what's that journey that is again coming up against all of these barriers.
Sure. one that comes to mind, thankfully, last night I was able to have lunch, or I guess it was dinner. It was last night. It was 5 o'clock. It was, I mean, is that still? Yeah.
Happy hour.
Happy hour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With a friend. I'm actually on site right now. People who are not watching this on video don't see the cinder block behind me. So I'm clearly in a government facility.
You're definitely in like a government facility. And you're not a prisoner. You're just in a government facility. We won't mention which one.
No, this is an open and honest conversation. Just a beautiful background that everybody's missing. But the friend that I had dinner with last night, she and I embarked on a journey. There's so many journeys in this, to do body armor for women last year. And it was, I met her actually during COVID. And we connected, it was like a 1 hour meeting that ends, 2.5 hours later. And she has been really at the cutting edge of making gear specifically for women. And as a veteran herself and, having experienced the problems of, trying to not dress in, military attire, but be equipped as if you were, and realizing, women's pants don't have pockets. What's that thing?
So it's one of my pet peeves. What?
I know.
What do you think? We don't ever need pockets? Why is that?
Seriously, when I wear a dress, it's got pockets. I've got pockets right now. You can't mess around with that. You got to have your stuff with you. But and her journey, my goodness, has she hit her head against the wall with that? Because it's not the market to equip women, and it's not the market to sell to them, because they're also not in the positions of acquisition, or in the soft community, they're not the ones looking at the big numbers, and the big numbers don't support the maybe 5 to 10%. And so, but those doesn't mean those women don't deserve and need to be protected and equipped in the same way, especially when you think about body armor. I mean, vital organs and those flat surfaces, they teeter-totter. Why on earth have we decided that this is still okay? And I know that there are advancements in it, but so much more that can be done. And the crosses all size and shape boundaries as well. When we look at a human instead of just standard, you fit in this box, you are this tall, you are this weight, and you will likely fit in this range. Like, no, no, not at all.
It's interesting that you explained this one, because I bet there are some other things about that you could probably talk a little bit about the mindset as well that you're coming up as a barrier. One of the really fun radio specials that I did on Sirius XM was women in the military over numerous generations. And one of the women that I interviewed, she was one of the first on different places like ships and different buildings where they didn't have a bathroom for women. And even just the facilities were not equipped to have women aboard the ship. There weren't women. I remember one of them was amazing. She wasn't allowed to spend the night on the aircraft carrier because they hadn't changed the law to allow women. And she was in command. And it was amazing. It was an amazing story. Anyway, I won't digress. But I'm sure you've come against this part as well. I would love for you to share if you have any stories or just your ideas about this barrier, the mindset barrier you come up against.
Okay. Let me approach this from 2 stories then. The first one is the frustration of being held back from doing my job because me traveling in support of a speaker, at a high rank, because I'm a woman and the other 2 travelers are men, but optically it makes people uncomfortable that I would be there. That did not go over well with me. But currently in this facility that I'm in right now, they have all gender bathrooms, and there's 3 stalls.
Oh,
And there's a urinal. And then in the other one, there are Tampax behind the toilet. And I'm like, this is just beautiful right now. Like,
wow.
we've got,
That's come light years. Wow.
Yeah. So on the one hand, it's like, come on. And on the other hand, you're like, right on. We're doing it. So there are changes, but you, I guess, have to find them, have to seek them out and know who's making them.
Well, and also keep on making people aware. And I say people, meaning anyone aware who is making those decisions or who can influence even like bathrooms or facilities or, I think that, as you said, the mindset also of, you traveling with 2 men. And I think it's interesting because we definitely, we have some very interesting barriers as women, not only as women as entrepreneurs, but just women who want to help in ways that we weren't really invited into the conversation before.
Well, I don't know what you mean. Yes. And I cover that in a few different scenarios in the book, just because, it is my journey. And so of course it's going to pop up. I mean, there's the moment that my TPOC puts, and that's the on the contracting side, because I was a contractor. I was never in uniform myself, but puts his hand on your leg, and you're like, okay, yeah. I mean, you have to figure out your way out of that.
Yeah,
But at the same time,
I've been in that situation. It's extremely uncomfortable. I mean, my stomach just immediately squeezes when you describe that, because a man's hand on you in a business situation, and a man who puts their hand on your leg, your knee, and you're like, wait a minute.
Don't touch the animals. We all learned that at the zoo. Don't touch the animals. don't reach your hand across the fence. Just don't. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry that you identify with that, because it pulls you. It's you're basically an emotional hostage at that point, because you go back to that and you recall how you feel. And I'll be honest with you, Jennifer, I didn't write that until I'd actually left the country, because I needed space to even put that, to decide if I wanted to put it in, but even just to write it. And I wrote it out one morning. I was like, I'm tired of not sleeping. How do you know what goes in a book like this and what doesn't? Yeah. And I was like, I've just got to get it on paper, and then we'll decide. And I wrote it one morning, and I just sat on the sofa and just cried. And it's just because it's so frustrating. And I put the ownership on all of us. Yeah. In that, I mean, it's maybe 4 or 5 inches for the whole story on it. But because the truth is, I managed the situation for his benefit. Yep. And, I didn't, quote unquote, do anything about it other than move past. Yep. And that frustrates me. And I have a lot of, there's tension internally in the way that I handled it. I would hope there's tension internally in the way he handled the situation, but also there's ownership on the reader. Because now that we know, we know, and we can't unknow these things. And I was warned, if you put this in, there could be an investigation. I'm like, that's nice. Why would there not be? Maybe we should do that more often. It's uncomfortable. Nobody wants it, but it's better than these things not coming out, right?
I was going to say, I applaud you. And it was funny, as you said that to me, I appreciate what you said about, because I realized after you acknowledged me, I realized, oh my gosh, I've never said that out loud before. Really? On a radio or podcast or television or anything. I've never actually admitted that. And when someone who's your boss does things like that, again, just like the scenario you're talking about, I'm in a workplace, and what do you do? And I unfortunately came from, really unstable childhood. So I didn't really have a role model or even a clear foundation of how to handle that kind of situation. And so I did the same thing that you're just describing, is I managed it to make him feel better and safe and okay, and exit stage left as quick as possible. I just got myself out of the room as quick as I could. And I think that that's, even to this day, it's a conversation we still need to have. And the fact that it's still uncomfortable, screams that we need to have the conversation more than we are. And that we need to confront it. And we need to also tell any little girl, or if you're a teenager and you're listening to this, you should never, ever, ever allow anyone to touch you, especially in a business situation, in any kind of inappropriate way. I love the way you said it with, there's no touching the animals.
We don't touch the animals. We all learned that when we learned, that we walk down the stairs in elementary school on the right side of the staircase. We also learned we don't touch the animals. So, but we forget. Yep. Or there I was excusing it, right?
Yeah.
But can I applaud you back for saying that? Not only saying it, but admitting that you hadn't said it, because I certainly hadn't. Why would I? Actually, that's not true. I did text people in the moment. I was like, you are not going to believe what's happening right now. But because it's like, nuh-uh, really, here we are. Okay. Wow. All right. I'm going to get out of this as fast as I can. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but
anyway.
Yeah, I know. How do you transition?
I know what to say. We should go. I was like, how do you transition out of that? Because it's a conversation that needs to be had, and it's a conversation that needs to be a lot deeper. But I know we are limited on time, so I am gonna transition us, and I'm just gonna do it awkwardly into. I think there is such a challenge when any kind of entrepreneurs are trying to move through, and we're breaking barriers. And that's why I mirror back to you and applaud you for being a brave entrepreneur and a brave woman and a trailblazer, in that there's so many of these things that are just not being discussed. And so I'm so excited that you were brave enough to put all of this. And even though I have not, full disclosure, I have not read your book, but I know different bits and pieces of it. And I'm super excited that you've been brave enough to put it all into the book. And so it's called Conceal Reveal. And this is Julie Willis, if you're listening to us and not watching us on video. So if you're not, you should definitely check us out on the video, because it is fun to watch the brick wall that Julie's in front of. It makes her look like she's in prison, and she is not. She is the former strategic communications consultant for government branches such as Army Futures Command, Department of Homeland Security, and Department of Defense Inspector General. So I am going to transition again awkwardly into one of the questions that I always love to ask a guest. And since you are breaking through barriers and all the things that you are doing, is how do you create your yay every day?
I love that question. The easy answer, and I do this for myself for sure, but it's also a gift that I give my team and I give the people around me. Peloton. I know. So Robin, if you have not attended one of Robin's classes, and I'm not cool. I have an Amazon bike. I do not have a Peloton bike, but I have the app for like $15 a month. But the endorphins that I get off of that, I show up to work on cold brew and Peloton, and I am just like, woo, how are you? So that really is, it does. It gives me everything that I need to at least be a nice human being until probably 3:00. Yay! After that, I cannot control it. Yeah.
I love that. I absolutely love it. I think exercise in general, but when you have somebody, I think with Peloton's amazing, because I only had a few times that I've gotten to use the Peloton, but the different classes, you have someone who's interacting. So again, it's a part of where we get to really connect with people, but we're also doing something like exercise that hopefully is something you're enjoying. Even if you're forcing yourself to do it, you're kind of getting into it. You get the music or the whatever is your thing. I love that you do that. That is beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. So before we forget, I want to make sure people know where to get your book and to find out more if they want to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. It is on Amazon. The ebook, I think, is a whole 99 cents because
Woo!
I didn't write the book, to make money off of it. I wrote it to make policy change because I am an idealist, and I'm holding on to that for dear life. But other than that, I mean, you can get the paperback too. But
and the book is called Conceal Reveal, right?